Hey, welcome everybody to the Campfire Show. Today we've got our friends from the Hills Church. So hi Patrick, hey Paul.
Hey
How are
Doug,
you guys?
hey Robbie.
And we have my lovely assistant, Robbie Starkey. Hi Robbie, how are you? Looking great today. Very good. So here on the show, we just, it's pretty simple. We like to share some stories and advice and just wisdom with churches. But we start out with this thing called show and tell. So we ask people to bring something that is unique or funny or weird or odd or frightening or all the above. So Robbie, we'll start with you. What do you have for your show and tell item today?
Well, I have a very unique item that, frankly, I was introduced by Doug Hood to this item. However, during this moment of confinement, it's turned to be a very wonderful thing, and that is, of course, the car tray.
Yes.
So, for those of you that don't know what this is the best invention ever.
Yes.
You simply place this on your steering wheel in your car, and it locks on, and then so as you go to your takeout lunch every day, this just sits on your steering wheel, and your lunch sits right there, and you eat, and you have a beautiful little tray that's in your car. This is an absolute must-have for anyone who wants to eat lunch or dinner or anything in the car.
I think we just did an infomercial.
And they're only like $15 on Amazon. Yeah. So anyway, they're car trays and they're awesome. So that's my show and tell item.
Very cool. I used mine yesterday. Yeah, that's one of my most prized possessions in this world. But
I used it for lunch and dinner yesterday, and my wife was frustrated that she didn't have one in the passenger seat for dinner. So
nice. Get one for Christmas. All right, Paul, what do you got? What did you bring today?
Yeah, so I have my Slinky.
Yes.
Patrick, you might know about this. Daryl and I, one of the pastors on staff, always have a Slinky nearby. For some reason, it helps stimulate creative ideas. But it's also one of these things we steal from each other. And so Daryl has had every Slinky he's had broken.
Nice.
And so he comes in my office and steals mine.
I like it.
This is luckily this is in my desk when I found it.
I like it
today, but a different story.
Very good. All right, Patrick, what do you got?
Well, I'm from Kentucky, and one thing that I keep is what we like to call a water balloon launcher. Believe it or not, keep a water balloon launcher handy. You might say, why in the world would you do that? Because Jesus is the bomb.
Nice.
Always got to remember that. That's why we exist, is to make sure that we're baptizing people with water and trying to tie this in somehow elsewhere. But
that's a good tie-in. I give you bonus points for that. So all right, my thing today is I have this little thing I'm gonna call him Emoji Man. So this came from one of my favorite companies, D&B Audio Technica in Germany, and you can actually take his face, like you can pop his face out of his skull, and we have like little interchangeable things depending on what kind of mood you're in. So today apparently I'm in kind of a winky, good kind of a mood. So there you go. That's show and tell. So now we know a little bit about everybody. So, but I'm happy to have you guys here and just to hear some wisdom that you've got to share. So before we jump into church stuff real deep, just tell us about maybe just a little bit about you and your family and your role at the church.
Paul, you want to go first?
I was going to say you, but okay. My name is Paul, and so we are based in Indiana, but I'm originally from Alabama, Auburn, Alabama. Home of the Auburn Tigers. I talk about this all the time, so sorry, Patrick, you have to hear it again. I love college football, and I am married to my wife, Carly. I met her and I moved here 7 or 8 years ago now. She's a local, and we live downtown here and love it. I get to serve at the Hills as the creative kind of worship pastor, and I love it here. I've been here, I think the same time as Patrick, actually.
Great. How about you, Patrick?
Yeah, so my wife, Savannah, and I have lived here in Evansville for about 6 years now, and we both grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. So good news is we are not related. before we were married, believe it or not. But we grew up in the same church, and we lived in Texas right after we got married for about 3 years, and then moved here in 2013 and helped start the church in September of 2018 or so now. And it has been a wild ride. We've often felt like we are piecing together a 747 jet while it is in flight, because when we launched, we had kind of a unique beginning, but when we launched, we didn't just give birth to a baby, but we gave birth to like 100-pound baby. And so we're young, but we're large. And so that just has a whole nother set of challenges that come along with it. But right. All in all, we're figuring it out as we go and trying to remain flexible. And we have an awesome team that really remain flexible. We often say that blessed are the flexible, for they shall never get bent out of shape.
Good
That's
line.
good. Is that from the Message Bible? The translation?
Something like that.
That is, yeah.
Or the Voice or something like that.
Yeah, cool. All right. So again, the reason that we do the show is just to inspire churches. So let's dig in. I'm excited today that we've got perspective of like senior leadership and also creative too. So that's fun. So guys, you're doing a portable church thing right now. You're kind of transitioning into a permanent place at some point. But starting a portable church or doing a portable church is challenging, right? There was a point in my life where I did that, and it was fun and it was challenging, but it was a lot of work, right? And so what victories and successes and wins do you guys see just in terms of like reaching people, reaching your congregation, or internally, building up your teams? Just what are good things that you guys see based on the season that you're in right now?
I think almost the sense of desperation of every Sunday we've got a big service to pull off has really called people to take ownership of our mission and what we're about. And so we have seen a lot of people that personally I've known for a while, Paul has known for a while, make this transition from kind of standing on the sidelines to jumping in, putting on a jersey and being all in the game. And so that type of ownership has been really cool. And obviously when that happens, there has been a ripple effect take place in their life and in their family. And, dad starts stepping up and leading at home. And so it's naturally done that, just because we know we can't do it by ourselves. Everybody's aware of that. And therefore I think people have thought, if I don't do something, if I don't step up, then there's a good chance this thing's never going to take off. And so I don't really have a choice. And so people jump in and they love it and they find a lot of joy in it.
Yeah, good.
Paul, would you say anything different?
No, I think I would agree with you. That was exactly what I was thinking, is the sense of ownership from the very beginning. We couldn't remotely do this on our own from the beginning. And we have an incredible team of people that show up early and set up, stay late and tear down, help out in the middle of the week and figure out the tech items that we might not know. It's been amazing to see the amount of ownership from people in this, and the way that it's impacted them in sharing the gospel and leading out. Kind of from I've been absolutely amazed by that, and to see what God has done in their lives has been a huge win.
Hey, I have a quick question, just to kind of get a perspective of when we say portable church. So you guys are meeting currently in a convention center in downtown. Tell us what time do you guys show up, and how many people does it take to do all this, and what does the day look like?
Yeah, so we show up, we start our day at 5:30.
5:30 a.m.
5:30 a.m. That's right. Yeah. And a little bit earlier. And we get to the office and have we call like our huddle time, kind of. So we meet and pray together, eat some donuts, drink some coffee, and then we head on over to the event center, and we get there about 6 o'clock. And so we have someone there, the box truck, and a bunch of people in a car line drive to Old National, and we begin our setup process there. We normally get done with that around 7:45-ish, something like that. And that's when the band, we get up there and do a line check, and then we start with a full run through 8 o'clock band and do all that. So it's a lot to set up, and it sounds quick, but we've got a lot of hands that are working, and it's not just upstairs; it's kids downstairs as well. And so we do our services, kids and out by 1 o'clock or 30 or so. And so, or 2 o'clock, depending on how many hands you have. And so I would say overall for the morning, it takes probably over 100 people to pull off both of those services, upstairs and downstairs in the kids and adults area. I wish I knew the exact number.
Yeah, that's a big team. So you guys are in this temporary season now of portable, but you're moving into I don't know if it's considered a renovation or new construction or a little bit of both or everything, but that you're moving into a permanent place, transitioning to that. So what have you learned in this, I guess, this season of portableness? That are you taking any of that with you? Like, have you learned what's important? Maybe some things you thought were important that are not important, or what lessons are you taking with you into that new place?
Yeah, I think we have tried to take some steps back to analyze and process. Okay, what as we move forward, as we continue pursuing this mission to reach lost and broken people, and our church is a little bit unique in the sense of we target men. We're really adamant about reaching the man and trying to craft all of our vernacular pieces, art, all that that can speak to the heart of a man. And the other thing is that we're very adamant about reaching lost people. And so what we have figured out along the way is, okay, there's some things in our DNA that we just need to be aware of that has the potential to kind of neutral. We have some stuff in our DNA that could be used as a strength. And then there's some stuff in our DNA that is could be a setback. And so some of the stuff that we don't want to lose is this kind of raw, honest, very transparent, vulnerable vibe that you get when you're at a service. I mean, we share very openly about our struggles from depression to sin, and I mean just real life issues that everybody walks into church with, but thinks, hey, this is a church environment. I've got to put my best foot forward, kind of like a first date, give off a good first impression, so that I don't scare anybody away. But then the pastor gets up on stage and talks about depression and him battling that. And I mean, I often say, if it weren't for prayer, pills, and people, I don't know where I'd be. And so that kind of raw and honest vibe is something that's very ingrained into our culture. We don't want to lose that. But even down to the more concrete pieces, like about a year ago, we upgraded some of our screens and LED walls and stuff like that. We made some of those purchases with our future facility in mind. We didn't want to have to just be out that money. And so, and that's the challenge with being a young but large church, is that very limited resources, yet excellence does not mean extravagance. Excellence can often come in the form of simplicity, and anything worth doing is worth doing well, And so we have little catchphrases that we'll use to reinforce that value, that we don't have to do everything. We're not called to do everything, but what we are doing, we're going to do well. And sometimes in the church we can say, well, it's good enough, but good enough is not good enough.
Yeah, it's a good word. That leads into, I wanted to talk about the B word, controversial church, a church word, the B word. And the B word is budget, which you just kind of,
Look at
that. So every church struggles with this, right? The biggest church with the biggest budget, the tiniest church with the tiny budget, everybody has to deal with budget. So what do you guys, as you create budgets, and that could be technology, that could be ministry, that could be whatever. What are some areas that you think are the best ones to invest in, and you see the biggest payout on in terms of impacting people?
Really depends on, I think, the life that you find yourself in the life of a church. Okay, so for example, we're still in the very beginnings of our church. So what we're prioritizing right now is going to be different than what we are probably prioritizing 5 years from now. Your budget reflects what you value. Your budget reflects, or should at least, be a support to your vision. Your budget should never go against your vision, and so that's a lot of the challenge is making sure that those two things are in alignment. So I think for us, the first year and a half has been about trying to manage this tension of prioritizing our people, like developing people, investing in people, setting aside resources to thank our people, to spend time with them, be generous, values here at the Hills. And so we're big on modeling that. If you expect generosity from your people, but you aren't modeling it, don't be surprised if you don't see that value lived out, because you reproduce who you are, not what you say.
Right.
And so, yet at the same time, our budget during this season has had to reflect a very excellent weekend experience, because that's the primary draw. And we live in a digital age. And, now that we're in this quarantine season, we are actually we have been just fine. I mean, we have so far weathered the storm very well. And that's because I think from the beginning, we were forced to be digital, and our people were very used to it. And so the first weekend that I called off services back in March because of COVID-19, it wasn't any issue, because we were out of meeting together. That was just kind of part of our regular rhythm, simply because the convention center had blackout dates where the space had already been rented out. And so we've had several weekends where we're digital only. You go to the Hills online and we stream it live from there. And so that's something that we have drilled into our people, but that obviously requires some investment of capital and finances. So,
good. One final question. So you guys are, again, planning to build a permanent home. So if you were to talk to a church who's out there and they are convinced that they've got to do this, now's the time, they're ready to hit the green light and start the planning or construction or both of their new place. What's one piece of advice you would give that church that's ready to build a new place?
I'll let Paul start with this, since I talked last question.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of things that could be said, but I think one of the things that I would even reiterate that we've already iterated, and something that we've done, is really build into your people. That the building is an opportunity to have ownership, to be a part of that. And so sometimes there's this, we're going to hire out everything and kind of get ready for people. And some things I encourage other worship pastors that I get a chance to talk to is that make sure you have people involved in all of that. That way, they have some ownership in that process. And one thing that I always caution us with, as well as in the church, is that because you have a building that you haven't, it's a beautiful and incredible thing, but you haven't made it yet. There's still more to come. There's still more. The best is still yet to come in that season. And so it's not super practical in that way, but I always say those things, that the best is still yet to come, even in that next step. For that.
That's good. I would say amen to that. I've been through some of that, and that everything that you just said is very true. So, well, hey guys, I want to thank you for coming by the show today. I want to toast you with, this is my very crispy marshmallow that I have on my desk, but it is a real marshmallow. So yeah, thanks for coming by. I know that, what you guys have shared will help some other churches out there. So thank you for that. If you're watching this and you know of any other people that would be good to have on the show, let me know. I'd love to talk. Just hit me up on that. And again, the reason that we do this is really simple. It's just to encourage the church, capital C, big C, and to hear from other people that are doing things well and have learned a few things. And so I hope that you will benefit from these words today. And the reason that I believe in wisdom so much and talking about it is because there's a book, pretty good book, that has some things to say about wisdom, and I'll share that now. It is better to get wisdom than gold. So be encouraged, everybody.